Welcome to the Backyard Professor videos. I'm Kerry Schertz, the Backyard Professor. I'm out here in my backyard out in the country. I'm discussing this argument that critics bring up almost in a hysterical manner, that there's absolutely nothing in favor of the Book of Mormon. Nothing. No archaeology, no history, no linguistics, nothing. The score for the Book of Mormon has to remain 0. They insist on that. By doing so, they ignore a vast amount of evidence in the Book of Mormon's favor. Let me share another piece of evidence with you. This is out of the book Echoes and Evidences of the Book of Mormon, published in 2002 by Farms, the Foundation for Ancient Research and Mormon Studies. I know a lot of critics argue that the Farms scholars are wannabes. They're not really accepted in the world of scholarship. They may be wannabes, but what about the evidence itself? I know dozens of the Farms scholars. They're good and honorable men. They have astonishing intellectual, spiritual, gigantic intellects. They're very good at what they do. Between Farms, I would say there's 35 languages of the world, ancient and modern, represented. They do their homework. Here's a piece of the evidence by one of my favorites, John Twetness. Joseph Smith said he found these plates on the Book of Mormon, hidden. And they were hidden in a stone box. Now this idea of hidden books, this was mocked in Joseph Smith's day. Make no mistake about it. The idea of gold plates was hilarious enough. In a stone box even. That elicited guffaws. But the idea of hiding the records, that was not a commonplace in Joseph Smith's day. Today, it's a matter of course. Consider the evidence of the Nag Hammadi codices. These were 13 bound leather books that were deliberately hidden. Only, as John Twetness says, and they're composed of some of the early apostolic writings. Some say even Jesus himself has authentic sayings like in the Gospel of Thomas in this Nag Hammadi information. Like the Book of Mormon, these books had been hidden away in the ground, though they were buried in a large pottery jar instead of a stone box. But they were deliberately hidden to come forth later. And then, of course, the really famous Dead Sea Scrolls. Here we have a large cache of documents stored in caves near the Dead Sea. Some of them had been placed inside fired clay pots. In all, fragments of approximately 800 separate scrolls were found. These Dead Sea Scrolls include multiple copies of all the books of the Old Testament except Esther. They had been written 2,000 years ago. They had been hidden for 2,000 years. The text of one scroll, inscribed on a long copper scroll, had been rolled up, described where other books and various treasures had been hidden. Over the last few years, I have found dozens of stories of ancient records hidden away for safekeeping for future discovery, and have recently published a book on the subject. H. Curtis Wright has noted that the burial of metallic records in stone boxes was a common thing in the ancient times. Now this theme we, of course, take for granted. In Joseph Smith's day, it was one of the highest points of mockery that he had. In addition, hundreds of other metallic records have been found in other circumstances. A number of ancient texts, in fact, speak about records kept on metallic plates. These sources include 1 Maccabees 8 and 22, the Cologne Mani Codex, the Apocalypse of Enosh, cited in the Cologne Mani Codex, incidentally, and the accounts of the 11th century Arab historian Al-Thalakbi, and the 13th century Arab historian Idrisi. With hundreds of examples of ancient texts hidden away for future discovery, and hundreds more written on metallic plates, many of them buried in stone boxes. The most famous example, of course, is the King Darius plates, where there was one really large gold plate and one really large silver plate, both hidden in a box, a stone box, and later found and recovered. There's pictures of that one. It seems clear that the story of the Book of Mormon has abundant precedence in documents of its time and earlier. This is on page 232 and 233 of this text, Echoes and Evidences of the Book of Mormon. This is one more piece of evidence that shows the argument that the Book of Mormon has nothing going for it, archaeologically, historically, or linguistically, that argument simply falls.